if I would have come to this life just to live, just to be born, go to school, finish university, find work, marry, give birth to children, be working and die. Like, what a useless life.
The stories we carry don't end when they happen. They echo. They shape how we see the world and who we become. I'm Femi Akonde, and this is Echoes and Parables, where we make sense of the stories we live.
Guest today is Lydia Idakula. Lydia Idakula, thank you for coming, Lydia. Let's start with just what life back home was like growing up. What are the highlights, things that come to mind?
Yeah. As you're speaking, I'm actually even trying to remember what's my earliest memory of myself.
That's right.
My earliest memories, I would say, have been our house in Jos. The house that we are known for in Jos, we've been in that house. We were in that house since 1983. That house is actually older than Bez.
Bez is your younger brother?
Yes, Bez is young. Bez was born in November of 1983, but I remember him being born in that house. So most of my memories and everything of my life, my early life, was in that house. My father was a politician, so I grew up in politics, understanding politics. So he was also a theology.
Theologian. It's theologian.
Yes, because they used to call him politician pastor. So before we were born, he and my mom used to go around singing. He would play the guitar, they would be doing duets. When we were small, like they had a mixtape of both of them singing, and almost all our relatives, they all had like a recording of that tape. It was like how, when we had that radio that had 2 cassettes and then you can record. Yeah, so we grew up in that kind of environment, and there was always music in our house. So from the time we woke up to 4 o'clock when the TV came on, there would be music playing.
Wow.
Yeah, so if it's not the radio, then there'll be LPs. So that's the kind of way that we grew up. Very musical, very creative, very artistic. Which kind of
Interesting.
Yeah, so I was really surprised that my parents were surprised that I wanted to do arts.
When did you first think that? Like, when did that ever become a thing?
That I would
Obviously,
do arts.
primary school. Yeah.
Yeah, because I would anything that was artistic in school, I would join. So extracurricular, I did drama, I did choir, I did dancing, Atilogu dance. I did it, like anything that was creative, you will see me there. I didn't understand why I needed to understand algebra or Pythagoras theory or like X. Where's find X? You know how the Nigeria is, find X. Is this not X that is here that you have written here? Yeah. So I think my parents, they knew I didn't like maths, but I don't know why they didn't. Because if I was my parents, I would have put me in music classes. I would have learned to play instruments. I got myself a piano when I was turning 40 something.
Because I think a lot of people actually would understand this whole business of parents kind of choosing, because there are just some courses or some direction that it looks like the older generation preferred to steer children to when we were growing up. Almost like, this is what I foresee in the future will be more beneficial. Is that the kind of thing that you reckon was happening?
I think so, because my parents kind of pushed me into studying law. And it wasn't like a forceful push or you must do it. They just kind of saw that I loved to have conversations and I loved to debate with people. So like I was their mate, so They are my parents' mates. I'll sit down with them in the living room when they have visitors. I'll sit down and we will be gisting as if I'm their mates. So they kind of saw that in me and they were like, Lord will fit you. Lord will fit you, you know. So it was that kind of almost guiding or encouraging me to that. And then I also used to enjoy Matlock. Do you remember Matlock?
Of course.
I loved Matlock. So when they said you would make a good lawyer, I just imagined Matlock. I didn't imagine Nigerian law. So I guess it was that. So they would either push you to engineering, law, medicine.
Yeah.
There's a clear path to making good income with those professions more than arts. So the arts, there weren't a lot of examples of people that were making clear income or clear paths to good income with the arts.
So obviously primary school, secondary school, all that was in Jos, yeah?
Yeah, secondary school was Baptist High School.
Okay. Which outlets did you feel like you actually maximized when it comes to your love for arts?
So secondary school, I was in every art group. I was in Gospel Crusaders where we used to act and sing, and we were like the elite drama group of the principal of the school, the Oyibo principal of the school. We were like so he would audition and then pick torchbearers. We were like 12 maybe or
I know that, and I just love like all the vernacular I'm hearing today. So Oyibo is the Nigerian expression for a white man, and Baptist Secondary School is one of the missionary schools.
Yes, so missionary school,
very popular in Nigeria.
Yeah, so for him to think that you're talented, because there was that standard of talent, I would say, from him, there's a way that he would see a standard of talent that the Nigerian teachers would not see, thing that was artistic in school. Any expression of art that I could do, I would do. Yeah.
So it sounds like there was a very rich religious background from what you're saying in terms
of,
yeah? Is that something that has been consistent growing up?
Yeah, because my parents were very strong Christians. So all of my upbringing, all of it was Christian. We would go to Sunday school before we joined adult ed. In fact, I was like the demon of my family because the mini demon, because I questioned everything. And my mind is rebellious, right? So I questioned everything and I went on my own journey to find God. I didn't want it to be like, something someone handed to me or something I was told to do. I hated that religious thing, not being able to be myself because there was an element of religion and for me, religion and Christianity are two different things. You can be a Christian without being religious. So it was for me finding what that meant, finding the core or finding, So I went to different churches. Like at some point in my life, my mom almost went ballistics because you are living Ekwa.
Evangelical Church of West Africa.
West Africa, yes. Yeah. So in Ekwa, when people sing or when we give special number or something, you raise your hand to acknowledge the talent. You don't clap. To me, it was very restrictive because my spirit is very free. And if you're restricting me, it's like you're trying to put me in a box. So it was very uncomfortable for me being in that kind of environment. Then there was once that they now stopped us from wearing trousers in church. Which one exposes me? So I didn't understand. You take those things without actually thinking through them. You're just taking them because that is how we have always done things. But I have a brain, and this is what the brain is supposed to be used for, to think things through and to ask questions like, but why are we doing it this way? Who said this is the right or wrong way? Some things that didn't make sense to me. I know there's more, but where is this more? And where is this God? And where is this? I was lost. I was lost for I think until 7.
Okay. The question I was going to actually ask was, in this period of searching, do you have any kind of community around you that
Community?
that, yeah, in terms of friends or people that you were close to
Oh yeah.
oh,
I had friends. I had really, really strong friendships in Jos. But this particular thing is not a thing that you journey with someone else.
So
Yeah.
you're saying that it was a solid, you felt like this was something you had to do by yourself.
It's a journey you take on your own. I could talk to people about it and tell them, oh, this is what. I don't even know if I understood what was happening at the time. In retrospect, that I look back and I say, you were looking for something deeper, you were looking for something more. I didn't know when I realized that I had a philosophical brain. My brain is very existential to an extent, right? So like, why am I here? What's the essence of life? And I came to the conclusion very early in life, and I can't remember when, but I said, if I would have come to this life just to live, just to be born, go to school, finish university, find work, marry, give birth to children, be working and die. Like, what a useless life. If that's what it was meant to be, then why am I here? It's so useless.
Did that lead you anywhere? That existential angst, did that push you in any specific direction?
Yes, it pushed me into the arts. It pushed me into the arts because I did go ahead and study law and went to law school and did all of that and was called to the bar and went and announced my parents in court just once. And then I couldn't do it, because I'm like, this is not the essence of my life. Yeah. So I have to find what it is that I'm meant to do. Yeah.
So you know now this is what you're meant to do. What's about the practical step-by-step way? How did you navigate that whole journey?
So I read Purpose Given Life.
Oh, wow.
And that was that 2007 that I told that I went there. Yes. So in 2006 were probably one of the hardest years of my life, but I can't even tell you right now why it was the hardest year, but it was probably the most painful year. And I think it's because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I was. It felt like there was no purpose for me. Like, I remember that crossover night of 2006. We were in Jos. It was me and Eunice. We went to House on the Rock.
You and Eunice. So you and
me
your
and
sister
Eunice.
Eunice. Yeah.
Yes, we went to House on the Rock. So crossover nights into
the new year.
Into the new year of 2007.
Okay.
And we're praying, and my prayer was, what is this like? Like, what is this? What am I here for? What am I doing? What is all this? I was not satisfied with just being. I had to have a reason. And I didn't know what the reason was. Then I heard very clearly, first 7 days of every month in 2007, I want you to fast and I want you to pray. So I'm like, okay. So I said, okay, first day of every month I will do it. I will do that. I didn't know. When somebody say, oh, I heard the Lord say, you'll be like, yeah. But that was probably one of the first times that I heard the Lord say, that I can say I heard the Lord say. And I didn't know what it was, but I just knew. So it was almost like something being pressed into my spirit to pray. So I started fasting 1st of January. So first 7 days of every month, I would fast. I think I picked up Purpose Driven Life. I think it was the 3rd or 4th month. And they're going to wait. And then things just started shifting. shifting. A little, I'll just, your purpose is to love God. And I'm like, surely, that can't be my entire purpose. So those are the kind of things that I would question and I would think about. But that was like my journey, just questioning things, hitting back, just being brutally honest. Yeah. You know how, who was the person who held God and said, I will not release you until. So for me, it was until you answer me. So it was just like, I'm going to be brutally honest. And I started by saying, you are the one who made me, so you know me, and you know that if I'm pretending, that's not me. So you collect me as I am because you're the one who made me like this. But it came from spending a lot of time in quiet with God, like having conversations and just expressing myself. So you know how someone listens to you, you begin to connect with the person. I think that's what happened, because even though I wasn't getting any answers, it felt like I was being listened to. It felt like it was this space where it's you and I, and it's you and I. So I fell in love with God, and so I stopped praying altogether. I just used to say, I love you, good night. I love you, good morning. I love you. Then I think it was in October.
This was the same 2007?
2007. Yeah. Yes, in October. So I did all this thing I was doing first 7 days. In October of that year, it was on the 7th day, on the last day of my fasting, I laid down to sleep and I just said, I love you, good night. Then I heard like a voice in the room, clear, crisp, like a voice in the room. What do you want? I don't know why I'm giving you this gist, Femi, because I didn't even have it in mind.
This is the
gist I will give you today. I don't know how we entered it, but I heard very clearly, like a voice in the room. What do you want? And when I heard that, I knew exactly who it was because I burst into laughter.
Burst into laughter.
I just started laughing. I said, did I tell you that I want anything? I said that I'm just saying I'm going to sleep. I did not say I want anything. I don't want anything. I heard again very clearly, what do you want? I said, well, if you insist. Then I started listing the things that I wanted. I started listing the things. I started talking about this was like in the night, dark room. So I started talking about the things that were heavy on my heart, the things that were, I want to know what I'm doing in life. I want to know that this is what I've been called for in life. I want to know that my life has meaning. I want to know that this thing, I want it to make sense. Then, at that time, I was not in a relationship at all. And I said, if it is I don't want to be in another relationship ever again. And if it's in your will, if it's in your plan for my life that I will get married in this lifetime, you need to fix it. And all of these things, and then I slept.
Okay, so just bear with me. I want to piece this thing together. So after that day, what happened?
Thank you very much for this question. I will tell you what happened. So for me, apart from that crossover night where it was like an impression on my heart to do this. It wasn't like I wasn't clear that it was a voice in my head. I heard this very clearly, right? And it was that night God assured me I was on my path, right? With the arts and all of that, like this is your path. So I'm like, okay. So by the 10th, that was 7. By the 9th or 10th or so, I started to doubt, what did I hear? Was it myself? I was telling myself these things. I'm assuring myself that I'm on the path, but that's because this is what I want to. I didn't really hear God. And I didn't tell anybody this thing. I was just by myself going through it on my own. That was the year that Paul Adefarasin wrote a book.
Paul Adefarasin is the
Paul Adefarasin House on the Rock in
the
Nigeria.
House on the Rock Church, Nigeria. Yeah.
Yes, he's the general, the overseer. Yeah. And so when we went to church, Pastor Paul said, "Oh, I've written this book, I've launched this book or something. I'm going to be signing this book at the Silverbird Galleria this evening. Right? You guys come out in your numbers. Let us show them that the Spirit of the Lord, the people of the Lord, the church, we are come out and let's do this." So I was like, sounds nice, I will go. That day I didn't have money. I borrowed money from Eunice to buy the book. Right? So I bought the book. And then we were now preparing to go. So we went home and then we had lunch and all. And then we're going to go later that afternoon. As I was falling asleep, because I had a short nap, I was falling asleep. I was like, hi. I don't know why I feel so. I was hearing myself. I was almost heavy, like downcast. Like, what if this was not God? What if it was my voice? What if. Then I heard again Sunday afternoon. So what do you want? So I said, okay, first of all, forgive me. Because I know that this is a doubting Thomas thing, right? But I'm not the first. Even I started naming all the people who did it to him. You say, I'm not the first. I'm not the, and so it's not, I think you understand where I'm coming from, that I would doubt. So please, just take it easy with me. But this is what I want. I want to know that I'm special to you. That I'm not a normal, I'm not any other one of your children. I know you have children, I know they love you and you love them and they're special, but I want to know that I'm special to you. I want to know. And he said, okay. Then I fell asleep. They even woke me up. Oh, it's time to go. So we went, got to this thing, joined the queue. He was signing, So they gave us a piece of paper and pen that we should write the name we want him to sign, so that he doesn't have to ask us, oh, who are you? He looks at it and he signs. As I put my pen to my paper, I was going to write Lydia. My pen just drew an S. That's my tribal name, Shekonumwaza. So I now wrote Shekonumwaza. Right? So I went, then I gave him the book. Then I dropped the name. He picked up his pen. Then he now looked at me. Then he now said, I'm sorry, where are you from? I said, I'm from Karu. It's a village it's like Abuja. And I said, okay. Then he now did like this. Then he now said, I'm so sorry. What tribe are you? Then I said, I'm Bagi. Bagi is like the minority tribe in the northern part of Nigeria, but it's like Middle Belt. Then he said, okay. Then he now raised his head and looked at me and he now said, may I have the privilege of calling you daughter? So I just nodded. Then he wrote, to my daughter, Shekonumwaza. Then wrote, and then closed it and gave me. When I opened it, do you know what was in it?
What was that?
To my daughter, Shekonumwaza, you are very special to God. I couldn't walk. Like I couldn't, because I'm like, at that moment I felt embarrassed. Because I'm like, who am I that you are so mindful of me? And I felt embarrassed that I even doubted it for a little bit. That I even doubted it at all. So let me tell you the way I am now. If I hear something from God, do you see the way that I jump and do it? If it's like dive off a cliff, I do it like that. In fact, I didn't even know I was like that until one of my friends in Nigeria, said to me, the way you are, I wish I could be like that. You do things, it's almost like when I started Taruwa, at some point, I was people were saying you can start charging for it. I heard very clearly not to charge for Taruwa. This is not where your money is coming from. Don't charge. So I didn't charge, and people be like, do you know how much money? I'm like, you are not the one who sent me. Can you please leave me alone? So people used to think that sometimes when I do things, people think that I'm I'm not behaving normally. I'm not behaving how other human beings would behave in this situation. Like somebody said to me, like, I think it was like 9th year into Taruwa or so, and he said to me, Taruwa has stopped me from committing suicide.
Wow. Okay. From that point on that specific day when you had that kind of interaction, did that specifically change anything for you in terms of how you proceeded from that point?
It changed things in the sense that I trusted where I was more. I just felt like I was in the right place at the time. I felt like I was being used by God. I felt that I had a purpose in this life and I was doing it.
You've mentioned Taruwa as in terms of the reference. What was that? How did that start? What's the genesis of it?
But Taruwa was like an open mic event that we had in Lagos, right? We did that for 13 years. So it was a space where people would come, artists, doctors, lawyers, whoever, they would come and just be. So they would either express themselves in music, in dance, they'll play guitar, they would do poetry, or they would just come and sit down and soak in whatever the art is or the atmosphere is. So that was Taruwa on the surface level. On the other level, like the deeper level, it was obviously like a healing spot, a connecting spot, because people met and got married at Taruwa. People met their managers, like artist managers, and people met their managers in Taruwa. It started in August of 2007.
You just guide us on what the word means. I'm guessing you coined it.
Taruwa, yes. Taruwa means gathering in Hausa. Yes, means Hausa. Gathering. It was my cousin and I and one of our poet friends. We were just sitting in the living room one Sunday afternoon, and we were just doing what we do best, listening to poetry, just talking and all of that. We're like, imagine if we had a space like this where people would just come and we could just do this and then that evening he said, oh, I'm going to this venue down the road from you guys, this place, would you come with me? So we all went together, and when I saw it, I was like, oh, this could be. And the owner was there, and I just had this crazy idea, and he was like, yeah, come and start, when do you want to start? Do you want to start like next week, 2 weeks from now? Yeah.
Wow. And that's how it started?
Yeah, everything was just, things just clicked into place.
How big did this get? What kind of attendance were you seeing? What kind of
It was like maybe 100 people or thereabouts. Yeah, it wasn't made to be massive. It was like an intimate gathering.
How do you connect that to your experience in this your spiritual journey and conversations that became a normal thing for you?
Yeah, so because at the core, I was looking for who I was. And that it was the journey, it was this spiritual journey that connected me to that.
One of the things I actually specifically remembered at the time that Taruwa, I think I came for one or two of those events in Lagos, is that while it was happening for you, for most people your age, it's times when people were having conversations about themselves. Where is a safe job? It didn't seem like your attention was for work as about making money. It felt like a kind of hangout thing that you were doing at the time. Did you ever feel that sense of everybody moving ahead? Were you finding real fulfillment in what you were doing?
So I've never been the person that would compare my journey with others. It would not affect me what is happening in other people's lives or how people's journeys are. It happened once when I got married and I was in Kaduna for 2 years, and it felt like my life stopped. And I started to look at the people who I was in the same space with at the time and how they had moved. And I'm like, people are moving ahead and me, I'm just here in Kaduna being somebody's wife. I don't think this is what I want with my life. So that happened that one time. But other than that, no, I did not. And the money thing, I came to this epiphany one time that wealth was not the existence of money, but the meeting of needs, right? And I didn't have one need that was unmet. One. Right now, if you ask me to remember how it was happening then, I don't remember.
Were you making any money?
How was I making money? So I wasn't serving in 2007, but I can't remember what I was doing, but I had money. We also made things like we sold magazines. So we had Taruwa magazine that we used to sell, and we had hotels. And I think people used to sponsor things. Yes. And then I was living with my uncle and my uncle's family at the time. So I didn't need to pay rent that time, and I didn't need to buy food. They took really good care of me at the time. So that need was met.
How did your family how did they process that, right? The thoughts that this is what you're doing.
Yeah. At the time my father had died already. My father died in 97. So it was my mom. And my mom would try to say, oh, this law that you studied, magistrate, come and do magistrate, come and do this one, that one. But Bez, my brother, and I are similar in the sense that our purpose is in the arts. So my brother and I were my mom's worry. So like I did small business. I would bring rappers from Jos, I think, and sell them in Lagos, or take rappers.
So you were seeing that as basically supporting you while you were doing something that you felt your purpose was in. Obviously, your career path is a whole item in itself, and I don't want to miss any part of it because I feel like there are some things that I don't even know. What's the trajectory of your art journey from that point on?
Started with Taruwa, right? Yeah. And then some years into Taruwa, we decided that we were going to do a festival, right? And we're going to, let's have a festival once a year where we open the stage a bit more and make it a little bit bigger, and then go back to our monthly Taruwa. And then once a year, we would, on the anniversary of Taruwa, after 4 years, I got the permission to charge once a year. So every anniversary we would sell tickets for Taruwa, and we make magazines and all of that. But do the festival, we would sell tickets for the festival. And it was during the very first festival that I had to produce a play. And that was my very first time that I was producing any play, anything. And that journey, prior to that producing journey, if you ask me, what do you do? My answer always starts with, But after that, it was like a full circle moment for me, because I just realized I'm a producer. My friend who was producing a talk show for Discovery World, they were doing a talk show in Nigeria, Discovery Plus 234, and she was producing it. And I was looking for something to do, and I was like, I need something to do now. Then she said, there's nothing, only writing. I said, but I'm a writer. She said, okay, come on. So I just naturally entered producing element. So while she's doing things, I'll just be producing on the side, and anywhere I see gap, I'll just fill it, cover it. And she was like, you're the producer of this show. So I came back to season 2 as writer-producer of Discovery. And that's how I went into TV, right? It's such a gift. And I don't know how I get it. You don't understand, for me. Like, because that was like the first time that I was producing, the very first talk show that I had produced on my own as a producer. So after that, I now went into film, into TV. I started producing a web series.
What was the web series exactly?
I produced Our Best Friend's Wedding. Then I produced Little Black Book. season 1. On the side, I was still doing theater, right?
Oh.
So I was still doing theater. So when you ask me what kind of producer, I'll tell you I produce TV, film, and theater, because I can't love one more than the other. I cannot love whatever opportunity comes within those, I would do. I met, she worked in the British Council, right? And there was this award, Young Music something award at the British Council, and she sent me the link. They said, I think you should apply for this. So that started my relationship with the British Council. And yes, and then when there were opportunities, they would call me and say, oh, come and have this conversation. And that's how they sent me to the UK to come to Brighton Fringe Festival. So I spent a few days with the Fringe, just doing like a shadowing, learning about festivals and all of that. I also did a cultural exchange program during the Olympics. So when the UK hosted Olympics, then Lagos Theatre Festival. Yeah, now...
Which was a new thing at the time, wasn't it? Was that always...
It wasn't really new. It had been on for 7 years, and they had changed artistic directors, and they were looking for a new artistic director for the festival. Yeah, and I now got the job. So that was like the height. It was the biggest performing arts festival in West Africa at the time, and we're collaborating with international bodies, with National Theatre Wales, it was like a really big deal. Really, it was something I really loved.
Obvious. It's a very clear path that at least now that is clear, even though it wouldn't have been clear to you as you were living those experiences what the next step was. But you found your groove after such a spiritual experience. What was your life like when it comes to your actual interaction with people around you, relationships, friendships?
Yeah. So, just people. Like some of my closest friends today, we've known each other since 10, 11. It was trusting, and then you had authentic experiences, so that my relationships were very real. One of my friends in Lagos said about me, you cannot be foolish around the day. Like, no, you cannot do that. So before she introduces me to someone, she checks the person. Because of the kind of person I am, and the kind of person I am was fed by the kind of experiences I had, and the kind of friendships that I had growing up. We were real, we were true to each other. I think those kinds of experiences, and even with love experiences. My first relationship that I would say this was my first relationship, I was 18. So the way that I experienced love in friendships and in relationships, I can see love from far.
What do you mean by that?
From far. So if you cannot come to me and tell me you love me, and you don't love me, like, I will be the one who will tell you that you love me. It's like I was raised in it. I was shown love so deeply and so completely that I know what it is when someone loves me.
When you had your famous conversation that was that life event, and you spoke about a relationship that you said you didn't want to, you had expressed that he had to sort you out there. This is conversation with the divine that you had.
That I didn't want to be, because I think I'd broken up the year before or so. The person who I thought was the love of my life, and this is the person who I thought I would, like, no matter what. I did not see us ending. We broke up like 3 times in the course of our relationship. Every time we broke up, the following morning to be like, hey, meet me in this thing. So that we were saying, okay, but you're not my girlfriend. Who is your girlfriend? Of course, you're not my boyfriend. That's how our breakup used to be. The only reason that breakup worked was because we were no longer living in the same city, because I moved to Lagos. I think that's why it worked. Otherwise, I don't think we would have. But when I realized that we had broken up for real, it was like heartbreaking, and I didn't want to be in another relationship. I wasn't ready for it.
What's been the journey from where you had advanced considerably to in your artistic expressions, and how you proceeded into the space of marriage and childbearing? Where did those two kind of co-join?
I thought I was going to get married in July, right? And I didn't know how it was going to happen because I was not in a relationship. Like, there's a friend who I had who we never dated or never had anything to do with each other, and we had known each other since 16. He wasn't living in Nigeria, but in that year we started to become friends. Like, we started to talk a lot. So he had said to me that he's been thinking about me a lot and he has been thinking about settling down. So at the time when God said to come on, and I said July, I said, oh, maybe we'll be this person, like, because he was the only person on my radar, like in my, So when the months were passing and nothing was happening, I was like, well, we'll see. So there was this friend of mine who I had met, right? And we kind of liked each other at the time, or he was seeing somebody. We became really good friends, but there was nothing ever between us. In 2005, he moved from Jos to Kaduna, and in 2005, I had to go to Kaduna to do some work, to make some hampers and make some money. And he had just moved to Kaduna, so I asked if I could come and do it at his place, and he said yes. So I was going to the market to go and get things, and he said, please, as you're going to the market, help me now, because I just moved to this Kaduna. There's nothing in my house, no plate, no pot, nothing. He said, please help me. And he said, please, if I can make a pot of stew for him. I said, no problem. So I went to the market, I got the things that I was getting for my hampers, then I also shopped for him. That was in 2005. Yes. So 2007, my cousin who lived in Kaduna had an accident and she was pregnant. I was in Abuja then, and I said, okay, I'll come to Kaduna and help you out and all of that. And he said, will you stay with me? I said, yeah, let's see, So I told him I was coming to Kaduna as well. And he said, okay, when you come in, call me. Guess what date?
What date?
We saw each other, 1st of July.
1st of July.
And by the 3rd or 4th of July, we were engaged.
Wow.
We got married in November of that year, of 2000. That was 2008, sorry, 2008 was when we got married, yeah.
How has marriage been?
That's a very good question. That's a very good question, because this is something that I struggled with. Yeah, 2008, but I'm no longer married, So this was actually one of the reasons why I left Nigeria.
Really?
Yeah, because I wanted to leave the marriage and I knew that I couldn't leave in Nigeria. So I left Nigeria in November of 2021. In February of 2022, we got separated.
So the whole work, your whole body of work in Nigeria, you've had to sacrifice that, or a natural transition to come to the UK?
It was a natural transition because, the visa I came on, I came on the Global Talent Visa.
Oh, really?
Yes, so I had to be endorsed by the Arts Council in England for me to get that visa. So everything was leading up to it. Because if I didn't have all of that, I would not have gotten that visa. Somebody said to me once that, Lydia, you that I know, you don't need anybody's permission to love them. You don't need help. You don't need their help. All they need to do is to come and stand there and do nothing. You will love them complete. Not everybody is like that. Some people actually need your help. I went through quite a lot in the time that we were married, which is one of the things that I struggled with, because I know that it wasn't a mistake that I made in marrying him. And because of the way that it unfolded, I knew that it was the person I was supposed to marry. I asked God so many questions. I asked myself so many times. There was so much I had to process before leaving. And even after leaving, I cut my hair. I had long locks. I cut of my hair because it felt like something had died. So you know how Imotu that you shaved. That's how it was. Oh my gosh. I went through the last 4 years of my life, or the last 5 years. It's been the things I've had to process and deal with and get to this point that I am now. I'm very introspective now. Yes, and I think I mourned the loss of the marriage over many years.
So how do you manage a scenario where you are sure that this was something that was divinely orchestrated? How do you reconcile that to the reality of that, from that? Yeah.
I feel like this is my life and my journey, right? And this was his life and his journey, and then our lives came together. I'm fulfilling my part of the journey. If you are not fulfilling yours, God is going to take me out of that place. Is the scripture that says, if you do not praise God, he will raise stones.
Do you know what his perception of you is in the marriage?
Yeah, he would agree with some of, because we've talked about it and I told him, and he's accepted some of the things.
This space that you are in now, in terms of being separated, how has that affected your general outlook?
For me, I'm a very positive person. Right now, I'm the happiest that I've been in a very long time. I feel like I'm at the point where I'm so aware of myself and the things that are happening, the energy around me. I'm so aware that as soon as there's something negative around me, I can sense it. As soon as there's a thought in my head, something that I want to do that is going against what I should be, that's my highest sense of love and of peace. Once there's something that is going against that, it's like a rock on my chest. I have to process it and release it immediately. So I'm at this point in my life where I'm very at peace. I just want my interactions to be love and to be peace. When people come to my house, they fall asleep. They fall asleep and the point that they will say, I've not slept like this in such a long time. I've not slept, because there's a peace in my house. Even because I'm not a very calm person, but my spirit is calm. This is calm, and it's very conscious. It's something that I've worked on, I've built, because I want to be known as the person who brought love, who brought joy, who brought peace into rooms, into lives. That's very important to me. That has been my process to get to a point where I'm at peace.
Did you leave anything back in Nigeria in terms of work?
Work-wise, work, I still work in Nigeria. Work. So last year, I created and delivered a workshop for the National Theatre in Nigeria, and I'm doing one this year as well. And I'm still working on scripts and films and seeing what I can film in Nigeria. So whatever I'm doing, like, I'm not leaving Nigeria out of my process, because I believe that I'm meant to straddle. I'm not meant to leave Nigeria out of what I'm doing. And for me, if whatever I learn, when I learn anything new, I'm thinking of how I can give to people what I've learned. So I will give workshops, like I've gotten funding in the UK. So like with the arts, because the Arts Council will fund like creative things like that. And so I would give workshops like, you people should come, let's go and let's see how we can get funding from the Arts Council. I will give you guys workshops. I will show you guys how to do it, because any journey you're going on alone, like, success is not success if you're successing by yourself. It's not sweet. But when there's like a school of dolphins, so people that are going together, that's, for me, that's what success is. Yeah. So in the UK, I've done a lot of theatre. I've not done a lot of film. I've done one short film. So I've worked with different production companies, like a few, as a freelancer on different theatre projects, and I'm working on my own project now, the musical. Yeah, Queen Idia. We're going to Nigeria this year to do like an excerpt of it. Hopefully next year we'll stage the entire thing in Nigeria as well. And then but I would want to see it in the States, in Australia, in Canada. I remember the day I got the idea. I just woke up from sleep and I just heard it very clearly, Queen Idia the musical. And I said, wait, hold on. What is the story actually? I didn't know Queen Idia's story. Do you know who Queen Idia is? Do you know the Queen Idia? Festac mask.
No, I don't.
Yes, it's an actual person.
So it has a rich history.
It does. And the story is one of the most beautiful. I didn't know the story when I got the idea. So it was when I said, hold up, actually, what is this story? And then I went and started researching it, and I was like, you have got to be kidding me. I've not seen it before. I know that people have like, maybe I saw like a short film. Somebody in the States was like trying to do a film or something. I don't know what happened to it, but like that story has not been told, like proper telling of Queen Idia.
Do you want to break down that whole Festac? As in, obviously, Festac is from people like me and
Festac
you.
Festac is the Festival of Arts and Culture that happened in 1976 and 1977 in Nigeria. And that was when the National Theatre was, I don't know whether it was built or commissioned, and that's when Festac in Lagos was also. And that was, Festac was like the biggest, it was like the biggest international showcase of African arts and culture that happened in Nigeria, so that people from all over the world, that was the first time that Africans were on the world stage in Festac, and that mask was the emblem of Festac. Right? So it's so next year is 50 years since Festac 77. Right? So the mask was the emblem for Festac, and the mask was one of those artifacts that was looted in 1897 from Benin Kingdom.
So it's literally you inserting yourself in the world of history is what you're doing.
Massively, because the thing is this, right? There are thousands and thousands of bronzes and artifacts that were looted from Benin that time.
Of course.
And those artifacts are seen as artifacts and not as documents that they were. So you hear about the Benin bronzes and you hear about the expedition, the 1897 expedition, but you don't hear about the characters behind. You don't hear the stories behind the bronzes, because those bronzes were bronzes of obas and bronzes of queens and and they were commissioned by the kings. So you don't hear the stories behind those people. We don't know them. There are Benin people who don't know Queen Idia's story.
And do you see yourself as the person that illustrates that in your
I do think so, because I love alternate reality. Time travel, or no, I love those kinds of things, right? So I shot a movie and it's alternate reality, and she saw a shoe. Like when she saw a shoe, she fell backwards and landed in another life, in another time.
You need to give us context.
So Eshu is not the devil. Eshu is the Yoruba Loki. Okay. Yes. It's a harbinger of karma. So you will do good to those who are good, and if you're evil, your karma will be evil. That's Eshu. It was Samuel Ajayi Crowther, when he was translating the Bible for the first time to Yoruba, who translated Eshu as the devil. I think in everything we need to think, we need to apply thinking to the things that we've been given to swallow. If we think about it, you start to poke holes in these things. So I'm like, this story needs to be told. We need to know our stories. We need to know what they are. We need to shine the light on our brilliance. We need to shine, because I didn't know until I started researching into it. I didn't know that Benin had streetlights in the 16th century.
Aside from this particular project, have there been moments like this that you have come to just that level of enlightenment in terms of just missing element of the country's consciousness?
There's so much. In fact, prior to starting Queen Idia the musical, what I was working on was Ajala the Traveler. Okay. Ajala lived and traveled on his motorcycle around countries and met presidents. I met kings. Whenever you travel around, so we just say Ajala, but it's an actual person. So digging into that again and seeing who is this person and what did that person do and how did he represent Nigeria and all of that. So there are many, 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 many stories. Our stories are so rich and we have them, but we're not telling them. And it's probably because we don't know them. Right, because history is not the thing that Nigeria is best at. And when we want to stop people from fighting the government, you bury the history. That's why when people are talking about, migrants, it's because history is buried. If you know your history, you clear path. So if you don't know your history, you are very likely to be ignorant.
Your interaction so far through art with history, what has that changed for you in terms of your worldview and your place in the world, in humanity at the moment?
So I see myself now as a storyteller, but I see myself as a bearer in a way, or like a vessel through which those stories and those lessons will come through. Right? You have to make yourself available for you to tell the stories. There's so many horrendous things happening in the world today. And I'm tracing, and it might need a bit more research, but I'm tracing it to the things that we're watching and the things that we're hearing and the things, because what you expose your mind to and you start to believe, you start to become, right? It's just like the things that we're feeding our minds is just so massively on the other side. So it's not really surprising that society is becoming like that. It's not really surprising because this is what our minds are exposed to every single day. This is what culture is now. Remember the time that our viewing things were Sesame Street, Cosby Show, Another Life. That's when wholesomeness. At that time, your child could go out on the streets by themselves. You could send them anywhere. They'll go and come back. You're sure that your child will be safe. But now, like, the more that what is put out and what we absorb, the more it becomes violent, the more it becomes more depraved, the more society becomes like that. So my aim, like the thing that whenever I'm creating things or I'm thinking of what work I'm putting out, I'm very, very intentional about the things that I want my work to do. Right? So like I'm working on a show right now called Merry Go Round, Mary, M-A-R-Y, Merry Go Round, right? About a teenage girl, and I want it to be as wholesome as when we used to see Cosby Show. It has complete, but it's going to be as wholesome as it can possibly be, to let there be some fresh air. I remember when, what was it called? Have you watched Nobody Wants This? It's on Netflix. Nobody Wants This. It's on Netflix. I remember when it came out. Throughout that month, everybody was just like, oh my God, this is so refreshing. Oh, this is such a breath of fresh air. Oh, this is just so really, this is just, because it was just love. Oh. The internet was agog with how sweet that thing was. And I'm wondering if people don't even realize that there's such a dearth of something like this that people are craving and yearning for.
So this is very interesting to me, yeah? You're very grounded in your faith to the point of literal conversations with God. And it's directed you into this art space where you are now illustrating deities and historical figures in the whole African context that has been severally described as very occultic, very debasing, understanding that there's a real history of tribal practices and even to the point of human sacrifices and stuff like that. How do you process that, the fact that one kind of faith, you were deliberate about separating Christianity from religion, so actual Christian faith, and the journey to actually illustrating these things?
Who vilified it? Who vilified deities? Who vilified ancestral? That's where the question needs to start from, right? Who painted it wrong? Who said it was right and wrong? Have you heard of the Vikings? Are the Vikings painted as demonic or devilish, or they're painted as warmongers and people who love to take territories? Do you understand what I'm saying? How did it get to the point of who sold us those things? That's the question. It's just the consciousness.
I'm very intrigued at how the arc of your own story, it is very fundamental to love and affection that has coasted you through life, essentially.
My purpose in this life, on this earth, in this lifetime for me, is love, joy, spread joy, make things, I don't want to say make things easier because that's not what it is. It's like bring succor through the arts to humanity. That's my purpose in life. Anything outside of this, if I try to go anywhere outside of this thing I've just told you, there will be a heavy rock on my chest that I will not be able to, I will fall physically ill.
Every conversation is so different. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It's been my pleasure.
Thank you very much, Lydia. Some stories stay with us, not because they ended, but because they never really did. This is Echoes and Parables.